I've been blessed by the sport of wrestling to meet some very authentic people, and Joe's one of those people. Joe currently with Grow Wrestling. We've brought him into our tournaments here to Ohio, and we don't get to spend that quality time and that quality conversation. And I'm glad we could catch up, talk some old stories. He talks the early days of Flow, and it was long overdue. Thank you, Joe.
What's
Hey,
going on, Joe,
good,
man?
man. A ton's going on, as you know. Man, it's great to see you though.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. It was always good talking and chat with you. I'm glad we could connect. So you're at your office now, right? Where you at right now?
Blue Chip headquarters, North Kansas City, Missouri. This is a great place. Jason Heslop and Gons Medina, they run the show here, and they they do team gear and apparel and super cool. And so they actually reached out to me. Man, it must be a few years, a couple
I was
years.
gonna ask how long. It's been a couple. I remember when you were getting started, but
Yeah,
it's all
yeah. And
blurry
then
how long it's been.
they were, yeah, they they've been running some events, and the events grew, and then they they're trying to run this business, so figured out a way to get me back to Kansas City where I grew up, and I'm figuring out how to run tournaments,
Right,
which
right.
is which isn't the easiest thing during a pandemic. It turns out.
I know that very well, but yeah, we'll get through it. It looks like it's we're in a rough spot right now, but I keep saying we're one day closer to the end of it, I hope, and I was talking with Coach Green yesterday, and he's like, I just plan for 12 hours at a time. That's what he says. Like that's a
Great,
good
great
way to
idea.
look at it. So
Yeah,
so
I mean,
go ahead.
I felt like we were on our way out of it, and then recently, it seems like we might be having some more holdups. We were actually able to have two successful events in September and October. Well, the one in September, smaller event, our venue was a high school. They actually canceled on us like 2 weeks
Oh,
before
jeez.
everything was good, and then and I found this out through calling them, which is weird. I said, "Hey, everything good?" And like, actually, no, you can't do the tournament. I'm like, I hope you just figured that out, since I didn't get a phone call yet. But we scrambled, found another venue, and had to push the event back a week, but made it happen.
That's
And then
awesome.
fall brawl, a bigger event, an arena event, happened in October, and we felt pretty good about that one.
Good.
So
Yeah, that's gonna be kind of par for the course, right? Moving venues or last minute. I know tomorrow's a middle school national duels out here in Ohio, and same
Dom
thing.
D'Amelio.
Yeah, they called him and Jody called. Hey, we just got shut down. It's 2 weeks out. They called me. We just got shut down. Any ideas? And then kind of talked about it. And what about the dome? And so tomorrow they got I think they have 30 teams coming in now, but same thing. 2 weeks out, he got shut down. But
Dang, that's tough. I
yeah,
remember when he started that duel. What was it, like 2014 or
yeah,
around?
I think this is year 6. I think so. That's
Yeah,
about right. And it's the hammer tournament now, right?
dude, I know it was brand new. I remember their streaming partner was a little on, like, do we do this or not at the time? And Zeb Miller told me, he's like, this thing's gonna be something.
Right.
And sure enough, man, it's a place to go.
Yeah, they got 30 teams coming in, so it's hopefully it goes off without a hitch. A lot of people behind it. They got a good group of people. But so yeah, so you had the Super 32 early entry, right? The fall brawl, right? Those
Yeah.
you had those.
And then,
Anything anything you didn't see going into it that you could tell a tournament organizer, kind of that you learned from it?
anything that I what? Sorry.
Anything you learned from it, kind of like going in, you thought you had it, and then you're like, oh, I didn't think about this, going into those events, kind of like, oh, I didn't think this through before. Now going into your next event.
Oh, just what I think is you can never be detailed enough.
Mhm.
Because when I'm sitting here and I'm going, oh, this is what this group's going to do. This is what the awards people are going to do, and I can spend a ton of time organizing it. Unless they have wrapped their head around it like I have,
Mhm.
I can't expect it to be done like I planned for it to
Right.
be done. So for me, it's just stronger communication on every aspect of the event, and man, make sure that I have everything staffed, so I'm not finding myself going to pick up the pizzas at the pizza shop in the arena
Right.
instead of some when I'm trying to run the event.
Right. Right. At least I
Luckily, I think it's so important just to have a great group of people around you, and just to build out a team that hopefully you can use event after event after event, so that you can grow together and just be cohesive. But that's coming around. I'm still, like I was telling you, I'm still JV. Running events is a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. I think it's super important that they're run well for our sport. I use you guys as the model. I think OAC is as good as it gets. But I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you.
No, it was cool to have you out though, a couple of times. It was cool to have you there, and we didn't get to spend much time, but that was cool to have you there and kind of,
Yeah, I
really
hope to be back. I'd love to come back. Man, the wrestling in Ohio at the junior high and elementary level just is insane. There's some tough kids. There's some really tough kids in Missouri, and they're going to place at national tournaments. But sometimes I'm watching, second round wrestlebacks at OAC events, and like, these kids are like state placers in Missouri.
It's
super interesting.
Yeah, it runs deep, but obviously always trying to make it better. It's this year's gonna be challenging, keeping kids on the mat. But I think how we're in a good spot. We're pretty blessed with some good clubs, and that's what it is. A bunch of coaches that are dedicated, and keeping the kids involved. So
yeah, there's actually Mill Valley High School in Kansas has this outstanding coach. His name's Travis Keel, and he's just putting on an event. He's calling it the King of Kansas. So 4 of the top teams in Kansas and in different divisions or classes are coming. And just, he got me really excited about it because, and I've been guilty of this, lots of, that we have these restrictions and it's going to be hard to have great events. And so he's like, you know what, Joe, instead of, I'm not going to hang my head and just mope about the season not being what I thought. I'm going to put the best events I can together and get my kids the best competition they could, and it got me all fired up.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, guys like that, we need them. Clubs that are proactive and finding ways to make things happen. We're going to need them because like I said, we want to have the same amount of kids on the mat next year as we had going into this year. Absolutely.
Right. So you got an event coming up in December right now, as of now?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, this is a new one. So the unfortunate news there is kind of our marquee event, and Grow Wrestling didn't start this event. This Kansas City Wrestling Association did a long time ago, and they handed it off. It's called the Kansas City Stampede. It's a tough event. It's boys and girls, and this year we're going to add JV and adjust the format a bit. What we think make the tournament a better experience. There's going to be over 100 teams there.
Oh, wow.
The venue is 2 floors. There's a 55,000 square foot and a 35,000 square foot floor. And so we're going to have, the JV downstairs. And unfortunately, the state association sent out rules. And I say, unfortunately, they're doing what they think is best to keep kids healthy.
Right.
But the recommendations were that there's only 8 teams, or no more than 8 teams, 1-day events only. And the ADs are listening to the state association. So we had to cancel that one. Which
is that a dual tournament or what?
No, it's one of those it starts out, it was going to be the boys side was going to be 64 teams, the girls 32.
Okay.
In the past, there was a pool first, and then you go into 2 different brackets. This year, it was going to be straight up double elimination to start.
Okay.
And then if you lose, if you go 0-2, 1-2, or 2-2, then you go into another bracket with the wrestlers with like records.
Nice.
So everybody can have some success. The other cool part is Friday night is a quarterfinal round instead of just a long day of round robin matches. We were really, really excited about it. And I think it's going to be mentioned in those top 3-5 tournaments in the country here pretty quick.
Nice.
But anyway, it's not happening this year. So instead, we are doing a youth tournament. It's called the Fight Before Christmas on December 19th.
I've seen that.
And I'm pretty proud of the name. And then my wife.
Is that your idea? Is that your idea?
Yeah, it was. But
Nice.
The even better one was, I think, my wife. So we were using it as the tagline is Seasons Beatings. I think Blue Chip will have a heyday with that making the gear.
Nice.
But, goal, we just want to get provide opportunities for kids to wrestle. I think it's going to be really hard there's not going to be as many youth tournaments because high schools aren't going to let you in there. So
Right.
you got to find ways to have an event make sense in an arena and then still do it safely.
Right.
So we have that one on the 19th, and then one called the All Valley Championships on January 23rd. But we're working as if they're full go. Everything's moving forward, but we'll see what happens in terms of lockdown and things like that.
Yeah.
So
cool, man. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. That's exciting. That's putting out a bunch of events. That's pretty sweet. So a little bit about your background for people that don't know, right? You're from Missouri, right?
Yep.
Wrestled there.
Yeah, right. And we went through Blue Springs South High School, 2-time state champs.
Nice.
I wrestled at Missouri for a few years, and then moved down to Texas for 10 before these guys got me back home, which is nice. Worked at Flow Wrestling down there, from almost the beginning, not quite the beginning.
Yeah, real early days, right?
Yeah, the glory days.
The glory days, right?
It's before Flow knew what it was going to be, and finding ways to get around the country with no money.
Right.
And but it was really fun. I think at the time it was really appreciated because we couldn't go find that kind of stuff, and so there's access to great wrestling coaches and matches, and then when we couldn't afford to go anywhere, we had to figure out ways to make goofy videos to to get people on the website.
So what's one takeaway you had from your time at Flow?
Problem solve.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I learned, how am I going to get over to Super 32? Well, I'm going to have to talk NC State. I'm going to have to talk Duke, somebody into flying me out. I'll do a coverage there, how am I going to get from Moscow to St. Petersburg with $100?
Was that you and Zeb, right?
Zeb,
did Russian Nationals?
Yeah. So Zeb, my first one was 08, and that was St. Petersburg. And then Zeb was Kazan. Was that 2009 or 2010? Yeah. Imagine going to Russia with Zeb is awesome. He's still his loud self, making sure everyone knows we're Americans. But such a good time. Those trips, doing anything with Zeb and pretty much any of the guys, the contributors, was just a great experience.
Yeah, that'd be something else. Going to Russia was right. I forget what I was talking to one of the coaches here in Ohio. They're like, there's no way I'd go to Russia, and there's no way I'd go with Zeb.
Yeah. Well, the first time I went, was it Steve Silver? His son's wrestled at Oklahoma State, and he's like a furniture guy in Texas. He's close with Martin. He had a contact in that would be at Russian Nationals every year, Maxime Milanov, who coached. He actually coached the U.S. girls for a while. But so Maxime would take care of me a little bit. Steve would send me with like a bag of 200, I don't know the number, tons of bags and bags of wrestling shoes. And we'd give those to Maxime. At the time, that's how he got his wrestling shoes. Wow. And so I'm already nervous going to this place by myself that everybody's, Russia's crazy, dude. Don't do it. I get off the plane, go through customs, and immediately they took me into like this room. They're like, what are you doing with all these shoes? Like scaring me so bad. I told them they were a gift for a wrestling coach. He's like, all right, you can go.
Oh, you're good then.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Those Russian Nationals trips were great though.
Right. Cause you and Zeb, even probably when you went by yourself, you'd set up like camera for every match, but you're like up top, right? It's not like you're mat side, right?
The first time was just one camera. Oh, and that was exhausting. But then after the first time, it was Zeb went with me once. Ian McCutcheon went with me.
Oh, Ian, he does a great job.
Bader started going, and it would be 3 cameras, 2 people. We'd sit together. One person managed 2 at a time, and one person managed 1 at a time. We kind of split duties like that, but we got every single match from 2010 through, I don't know, 2016, I think was the last time. Maybe,
Wow.
It was a ton of work.
Right, because you had to translate everything, right?
Yeah, and so Ian McCutcheon, he's the one. The first year I got back, I was lucky enough I had all this content, all this footage, and I just happened to go to Long Island because we didn't have money for me to fly home and then fly to Vegas, so I stayed in Long Island for like 5 days and then went to the U.S. Nationals, and I stayed with somebody I didn't even know at the time, but that's how I met Craig Vitigliano, who was the guru. He's like huge in international wrestling, and he learned Cyrillic just so he could name matches. So just by chance I got there, and he named all those matches for me. And then when Ian McCutcheon went,
Ian's awesome. We
so
need him
awesome.
back behind the camera again.
So awesome, super smart, super,
Mm-hmm.
He actually just started doing it letter by letter, so because you could do it phonetically. Mm-hmm. And so once he did that, he started by the end being able to just name them. And then the next one was like, all right, if Ian did that, I know he's twice as smart as me, but if he can do that, then I can do that. And that's how we named them. And yeah, it's cool. Like by the end, it's like you actually learn. I probably couldn't do it right now, but
at the time you
not
could
having to refer to that chart. It was kind of exhilarating.
Yeah, that's something that people don't realize, the things that go behind it. And then you'd capture every match, and then that was footage for scouting, right, for our U.S. athletes, right?
Yeah. Zeke Jones started getting really into that and helping find us ways to get over there. I did say every match. One year, we were in, I think it was St. Petersburg in 2012. So we finish up like with this last day, and Mark, we put the matches from the camera over to the computer and then delete them on there so we have space and stuff. Well, we met some neighbors across the hotel hall from us. They couldn't speak a lick of English. We started having too much fun.
Too much vodka.
It turned into like arm wrestling matches and all this. And then somehow, I don't remember all of it. Somehow it got like a little nastier by the end of the night. Well, I go back to the room. Mark Bader, being the warrior he is, he's like, all right, I'm going to go name these matches and try to upload them from the lobby where there was internet. He fell asleep, and we know it was those same guys stole the computer.
Oh, shoot.
And
all
so
the footage
there goes,
on there.
I think he lost all the heavyweight matches, and somehow there's a recovery mode on the video camera, and he was able to recover a bunch of files, but one wrestling match would be like 12 pieces. And so we had to go stitch them together and make it work, but he did.
Oh,
yeah, it was wild.
That's nuts. And then when were you there? Wasn't a backpack left in a taxi or something? Or is that a different trip?
So I think that I wasn't there. I think that was Mark was at maybe like a Junior Worlds or something.
Okay.
I think it was Junior Cadet Worlds, but yeah, I remember watching that video. There's like a flow film.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
But that's total Mark Bader right there.
That's crazy. My brother Drew actually lived in Missouri for a while, and I think briefly coached with his brother. So I don't know if his brother still coaches, but
where at?
I think it was a private school. My brother Drew lived in St. Louis, so I forget where, but he just would go in. My brother would go and help out, but I'm pretty sure Bader's brother was helping out or coach at that time.
Vianney.
I'm not sure.
Was it Vianney?
I don't know. I just remember Drew said, and it, like I said, my brother's just in and out. He was still young, before kids, and when he had time jumping in there type thing. It wasn't like he was like on the staff or anything, but
before kids. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Remember what it was like before kids?
What did we do at the time, right?
Yeah. Think you're busy? No, you're not.
Yeah, not even in the sleep, right? I'm lucky. Mine are a little older now. So, right? You just had 6 weeks ago, little girl?
Yeah. So I told you I had those 2 tournaments, right? One was on the 19th of September. One was October 3rd. My wife was due on the 28th of September. Wow. And then the doctor was like, hey, you could induce on the 24th. Your baby, the baby's ready. I was like, please, honey, like if we know the day it's coming, like I have a few days to stay home, then I can prepare for a tournament. That was a tough few weeks stretch right there.
No, I bet.
My
man.
wife is a champ though. She was recovered pretty good shortly after, and she was like, go sleep in the other bed. You need to get sleep.
Wow, that's
Get
awesome.
ready for your tournament. I'm like, who is this woman?
Superwoman, right?
Yeah. But maybe she's saying that because what I'm doing is startup, and she's supporting us and like, you need to figure this out.
Yeah. So and then you are, when it's all figured out, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That definitely takes I was talking with a coach yesterday, and just it takes that other half to support what you're doing. You can't coach, you can't put this time into a job if you don't get that support, and it's tough. But if you have that right one, it helps exponentially, right?
Oh my gosh, it's so important. And man, my wife, even more than just the energy going into it. My wife, I met her in London. She's a city girl, right?
Nice.
And so when she moved to the United States, we were in Austin, which is a bigger town. It's really cool. She really, really liked it. And then when this opportunity, right now we live in a town called Grain Valley, Missouri. It's small, it's a whole different
Not a
world.
city at all, right?
So we're working on getting into Kansas City, but she agreed to this because we think it'll be good for our family, and I really want to stay in wrestling, but really taking one for the team right now, in kind of a different world than she's used to.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Kansas City's fun. My other brother lived in Kansas City for a few years, and my parents visiting. They're like, you got to get out there. And so I finally visited just probably 5-6 years ago. I was like, it's pretty cool. I hadn't been in Kansas City forever. It's cool not little city, but cool city, man.
I think it's like in a really good phase right now. Lots of cool businesses coming in. I think it's like getting to that next tier now. I need to see more of it because, like I said, I live 30 miles outside of it.
Okay. I was going to ask how far.
A 3-year-old, and a 6-week-old. And so anything we do, we come into the city a lot, but pretty much just we'd go to the park or something. It's not like I'm going and checking out this cool new restaurant or bar or something.
Right. That's a little different
going
now.
to a concert.
Right. Yeah, my brother, they were big concert people when they lived there, right? Because was it the Power and Light or something?
Power and Light, yeah.
Yeah, they lived there when the Royals made the World Series and somehow got in game 7 or something. It was something where my brother knew they were walking by the stadium, they were in a scalp, and he knew a guy delivering beer or pop or something. He's like, hey, follow me. And they got in or something. They snuck into the World Series.
Dude, everybody a lot of people are going to see that Power and Light 2023 NCAAs. They just announced they're in Kansas City, and Power and Light is like across the street. It's going to be really cool. It's like, I think it's going to be a great host for the NCAAs just because half that experience, maybe not quite half, but it's what you're doing in between rounds and the people that you see and go and getting a cold drink and a meal together.
Right.
And so I think that we'll see it here more. The last time I was in Kansas City, it was in 2003, and that's at the venue we're using now.
Oh, cool. I wrestled there. I wrestled that year there.
In Kemper?
Yep. Was it my junior year? Yeah. So yeah, but the Blues played there, right? Did the Blues play there at the time?
No, the Blues are in St. Louis.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking St. Louis. My brother, my brother wrestled in St. Louis. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was at Kemper and then Albany in 2002. And then in 2004, it was in St. Louis and my brother wrestled at wherever the Blues played.
Does a great job.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's called like 10 different
I don't know. I can't keep track.
10 years.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, the Blues used to play in a place called the Checker Dome. And I was wrestling at the AAU state tournament the day they demolished it. And so they stopped the tournament and went outside. There's a great view from Forest Park Community College. That's where my dad wrestled too. And everybody got to watch this huge building arena get blown up. Yeah.
You don't see that every day, right?
It was a good
probably in person. It's a lot different than video too. You see it on video all the time, but in person it's probably completely different.
Yeah. It was interesting. the glory days.
So,
Um,
so you come from a wrestling family, right? So your
yeah,
brother,
well,
right?
my dad wrestled, and he would have told you part of the reason he decided to wrestle is because his dad didn't know anything about wrestling.
Okay.
Needed some, but but he wrestled at Forest Park and then SMSU in Springfield, and then he was a grad assistant in Arizona. All three programs gone. Stinks. Yeah. And then he started coaching. So I grew up laying on rolled up mats watching the high schoolers who I thought were like kings at the time. They're very average, but I thought they were so awesome. And then started wrestling, 5 or 6 years old.
That's
and then
awesome.
My brother wrestled, my stepbrothers wrestled. It was part of it's a big part of my life, and most male Williamsons.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So is your brother still coaching, or what's or he was coaching at pretty?
So I'm not sure what he's doing this year. He has been coaching. He was a head coach at Tolton Catholic. They've had some great wrestlers. They had Ironman, who just beat an Olympic gym, beat Kinji.
Yeah.
And then they had Brock Mahler, who was awarded he's an All-American from Missouri. That same class, it's Brock Mahler, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Two from that class went to Missouri, and they start Missouri's 57-pounder.
Okay, I'm not the best with names either.
Me neither. It's bothering me though. I should absolutely know. He's a 3-time state champ, and then a recent commit to Oklahoma State who actually transferred to Stillwater as Teague Travis.
Okay,
he's a crusher. He's a senior, and he'll be a Cowboy next year, which is really cool.
Nice, awesome. So yes. Going back to your flow days, or even now with Grow Wrestling, right? Do you have an event that sticks out as far as covering it, that kind of like one of your all-time favorites, or
what the event, a single experience at an event?
Or a match, kind of that sticks with your, like, wow, it was pretty dang cool looking back.
Man, I remember a match that I remember very vividly, and just it's a super exciting time. Well, there's a few that are popping in my head. The first one I was thinking about was when Zeke Moisey pinned Thomas Gilman in the NCAA semifinals, and I was actually calling the match for the Flow video. I can remember it. I can remember every little piece of it. It was super cool. And Zeke was a guy that I had followed for a long time through his career in high school, and he was really tough, but definitely not supposed to win that match. Took Gilman down twice and pinned him in the cradle, and it was just almost like, in that time, there's not a person on the planet that would have stopped Zeke Moisey. That was cool. I remember another big one. This was early on, when in Russian Nationals, that's the first time I ever got to see Satiev wrestle front of me. And Satiev, he made a comeback for that year. The year before was a guy named Mirta Zaliev. He won the worlds at that weight class at 74. And so the final for Satiev and Mirta Zaliev was really big, and it was like you could feel the energy in this arena at Russian Nationals. And then of course he gets the spot and goes and wins the Olympics. And so that was super interesting. In general, those Russian national events were super fun. It is a different world over there.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
The culture is amazing. And those events, people are throwing stuff out on the mats. There's several times there's like brawls in the stands,
straight up fights, right?
I don't know if you remember, one time Mark was filming it. It was the same guy, Satiev, but in 2012, he was coaching his brother Adam, and he was in the stand. He was like punching people up in the stands.
I think I do vaguely remember that, right?
Because they basically gave the match to Adam Satiev when he got beat. That way they could have Satiev make the finals in this matchup they'd been hyping. But when that happens, then there's several times that you come to the next session and the sides of the floor of the arena are lined with guys with like automatic weapons, And they said,
Really?
all right, this is real.
Holy cow! At a wrestling tournament, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Big, scary dudes. And then the other part, like, we have fans like, here's Penn State's crowd
Right.
and here is Ohio State's crowd. Well, at these events, it's like, it's the caucus, right? And they have their caucus flag. So here's like the Dagestan guys, and
Yeah.
here's Ossetia, Alanya, and it seems even more personal,
Yeah.
like it's wild how much they're into their caucus guys winning the event, and how, I don't know if pride's the right word, but
They're probably right. I mean, they're a lot of pride for their area. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Even better, even more than that, the best fans in the world are from Iran.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh! I got at the Olympics in 2012. I was sitting in the crowd with the Iranians, and they were super cool. Like, they just love wrestling. Of course, they want their guy to win. And that year was Burroughs Gadarzi was the final. Gadarzi, the Iranian, and they all love Jordan Burroughs, but the way they cheer for wrestling is really cool. And the biggest experience I felt of it was when Beat the Streets was at Grand Central Station. I think that was 2013. It was USA, Iran, and Russia. Iran wrestled the first two duels, and it was fire in there. So loud, they're blowing those horns.
So you were there for that? You were there for that? Okay.
And it made it so exciting. And then after their two duels, they were done, and all the Iranian people left, and quiet. It was not the same. They were there to win too, where sometimes I feel like, Russia sends a group, they train for the Worlds and the Olympics, and I feel like I could see it when they're warming up, and when the Iranian team was in the back behind these stands, and I was like, they won't beat everybody. They just had Eye of the Tiger or something.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Did you go to the London Olympics? Did you go to any Olympics?
That's where I met my wife.
Okay. I was gonna ask, how'd you meet? And okay, so you guys met there. Oh, wow.
Yeah. They got lucky, so wrestling is the last week of the Olympics. It's the very end of the Olympics. At least it was then. But Bader and myself were going to get to go. And Mark, this is total. I did not really want to do this, but Mark's like, dude, we need to get over there now. We need to get over there early. I'm going to talk Martin and Mark into sending us before the Olympics starts, so we can do videos about the opening ceremony, and like, we'll find cool stuff. We'll pump it up for all the Flow websites. And so I'm like, I don't fight Mark because I know they're not going to let us do that. That's expensive. Even though I don't want to go for that long, which is silly. I would love to now.
Right.
And this was after I'd been traveling all the time.
Right.
So anyways, they're like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm like, okay.
So you're locked in now.
I was there for 35 days, but it was the first night I was there. We fly in, we get to our flat, which is an Airbnb that, it had 3 bedrooms. By the end of the month, there must have been 20 people staying in there.
Oh my God.
Including Zeb. But if I was.
And Martin was there too. Did Martin end up going to that one or no?
Yeah, Martin was there.
Okay.
Martin and Mark was there. That first day, we were like, all right, we're tired from the travel, but we got to go out. We went to this pub at the park, and then we went to this place called the Dolphin that was open till like 2 a.m. I met my wife at the Dolphin.
Wow, how cool.
Yeah. And
during the Olympics, right?
Yeah, she was super cool. So she left town for a couple of days. When she got back, she took me out around London, and then we just started hanging out more and more and more. By the end, I was just hanging out over at her flat. It was like a 5-minute walk from where we were at, and it was quiet.
Right.
And
not
there was
20
this
people
beautiful
stuck.
woman there that made me laugh. And so, we spent a lot of that month together. And when we left, we thought that was it, but then you know how it goes. We started talking. Then we started all of our vacations and stuff was visiting each other, and decided we either to stop this or get married. So
that's so cool. That's so cool. Now you're back in Missouri, and
and
she's
like,
adjusting, right?
Yeah. No, it's tough, man. We always go for Christmas. I don't
Oh.
think we're going to get to go this year because, there's lockdowns in the UK. It's like 2 weeks. If you fly in, you're to quarantine for 2 weeks. Our families aren't spring chickens.
Right.
So we got to be careful too.
Understandable.
We'll
Right.
see
Right.
what happens.
So of all the, obviously that's probably, that trip holds a place in your heart, obviously,
Yeah.
and Russian
Yeah.
Nationals are pretty cool. Any other cities that you were at, stateside or, overseas that stick out, pretty cool cities that you didn't expect?
I mean, I did not expect Budapest was amazing. I really like that. I haven't experienced, and Denmark's a really good experience. This was a 2009 Worlds. My dad, which he's no longer with us. This was early on in Flow. He decided he was going to come on the trip with me, and so
Oh, that's cool.
I'm like, here I am. I'm taking my dad. My dad's coming with me to sit in the press row at the World Championships. We got him a press pass. Get this. My name's John Williamson. His name's John Williamson, but I go by Joe. He goes by Jack. And
your
when
boy's
we
Jack
got
then
there-
too, right? Your boy's Jack?
My boy is Jack. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We get there, and I had a press pass waiting for me. I got to go through this process. And so I'm like, dang, I want to sit by my dad. What do I do? So I go up there. I'm like, oh, there's a mistake. We're both John Williams. You only put us down here. This is my photographer. And he had this little tiny snap and shoot camera too. But they ended up giving him a press pass. So we got to sit there. It was me and him and the USA Wrestling guys. And for 10 days, we got to watch the World Championships. Jake Herbert got second. Tervel got third.
Nice.
And the whole time we stayed. You ever heard of the website Couch Surfing?
Yep. Before
Couchsurfing.com.
Airbnb, right?
Yeah, it's free. People just let you stay. And this kid, Rudy, why can't I? He let us stay in his small flat for 10 straight days, and we were even there. He wasn't there for the first 3. Like, what if we're crazy?
Yeah,
just trust me. He's like, just go to my parents, go pick up the keys, and let yourself in. I'll be there on Wednesday. Like, all right. We're not going to do anything. But
or if he's crazy, right? You show up and he's the crazy one, right? I'm not going to be there. And then he sneaks in while you're not there or while you're there. Yeah.
I didn't think about, he could have had us. He could have had us on that. No, Denmark was really interesting. People are super kind. I actually right when we got there, I left my backpack, which had my computer and everything I needed, which was like half of everything Flo owns at the time. I left it on the bus, and the bus drove off. I was terrified. And this guy, so I started sprinting. I didn't know what to do. I started sprinting, and then there's like a pizza shop guy outside, and I'm like, I need your help. Like, I'm just kind of going crazy.
Right.
And then he's like, what happened? He's like, my backpack's on that bus. And he said something like, just relax. You're not in the United States. It's going to be fine. He drives me up to the train station, which he did. He thinks he didn't let my dad get in the car. He's like, nope, just one of you.
Oh, wow.
Because we're crazy. But we get there, and sure enough, there's this lady's walking across the street with my backpack. Like, is this yours?
Oh, how cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was terrified. The little things
yeah. So that had to be a cool trip going with your dad, right? I mean, just that time with him.
Yeah, so much fun. Wrestling was our thing. Wrestling was what we did. When my parents were divorced, my mom moved to Kansas City. My dad was in Springfield. So for years of my life, it was every other weekend. I go to my dad's on Friday. We get up early Saturday morning. We go to a wrestling tournament all day. Saturday, Sunday, drive back to my mom's. So it's like, going to wrestling tournaments in Springfield. You got to drive further, a few hours in the car with my dad and my brother. So wrestling was like something we shared. And so that I got this cool opportunity that I could share with him was something amazing, really amazing to me. Yeah.
I remember your post, you had a special bond with him. What's one thing you took away from your dad? And he seemed like just a larger than life guy, he, probably a lot like you, I'm sure. I've never met him, but I'm sure he, you take a lot away from him. Is there one thing you take away,
Man, work hard and be kind. Work hard and be kind. He's really good at both of those. he spent his time coaching, educating. He was he served after he's done teaching. He served teachers with the National Education Association.
Wow.
But I think everything he did was aimed towards making something better.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it usually it wasn't about him.
Mm-hmm.
So just a ton of energy. At the time, we called him. He'd start every time I went to Oklahoma State. There became his time during Flow where Mark Bader and myself, we go to Oklahoma State for a dual meet, or the trials were there, or well, he would come down on his bike and stay there, and he had two names. One was Tweetmaster 5000. He would do all the Flow tweeting, or Father Flow.
Father Flow.
Tweetmaster 5000 was a good one. That was so. One just he came to NCAAs, U.S. Opens, whenever trials were happening. So he's always at the big events. So he became like a figure within the Flow wrestling community for a while.
That's awesome, right? And that's like you said, when it was real small, right? It was, the Flow world then was a lot different. I remember visiting down to Austin. I'd been down to Austin. A buddy lived down there. Good friend, and visiting the original, HQ, and just some of the, back in the day stuff.
Did you go to the green one?
The
house?
Yeah, the house. I went to the house. Like, it had to be 08, 09. Was that about right? Or?
That would have been, I think 9 or 10 moved to another office. That place is not what I expected my first time there.
Going to Flow, you thought, like, or the house, or?
I mean, in my head, I was going to walk into this office. There's going to be a secretary right here.
Yeah.
I walk into a house.
Yeah.
There's hippies all over. There's chickens walking across the road.
And the houses out there are kind of, right, stay weird, Austin, whatever, right? It's like the houses aren't traditional to begin with. It's not like you're walking.
Nobody had a shirt on, I'm like, my mom would be pissed if she saw what I'm getting myself. I got a college degree, and I just got my firefighters and EMT certifications. And I'm in a house with a bunch of stinky guys with no shirt on.
Yeah, the greenhouse. And then I remember I went down there a couple times. I think that might have been the only time there. We went to, I think it was Texas UCLA game or something, and was hanging out with Martin, and I don't know, he was wearing Ohio State shirt the whole time, and here we are with like Texas alum and all this stuff, and it's just Martin wearing Ohio State. I don't know why.
He doesn't get it.
Just
he doesn't catch on to that stuff.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was, shoot, even Austin, the city was a different city then compared to now,
Yeah.
So, but
that's what I heard when I got there, is that it turned crazy, and from 2008 to 2018, man, it just like blew up there. It was a great place. I believe it's the best city on the planet.
Yeah. So actually, what took me down there was my old high school wrestling coach moved there from Ohio, so we took he was like, my second father to me, still is, but we took packed up his stuff, drove down there, and he moved to Austin, I think 08 ish. So it was, and he was saying it's a booming city, yada yada, and then 10 years later it's booming. I'm like, you've been saying that for 10 years, and then sure enough, I went back to visit. I'm like, holy cow, it's different city, So
yeah. Oh, I wish I would have got a house there when I moved down there. There's the east side of Austin was just like beat up and maybe looked a little sketchy, and you could get property there. And now the place is
good luck.
It's amazing. Yeah, you better have some coin if you want to move there. But a bunch of rich people moving in. Both they just kind of said tearing down all these old houses and then building something really nice. But what do they say when there's a smoothie shop? I can't remember the name of it, but it moved into the east side. Like, all right, this isn't when you can buy a $10 smoothie.
Yeah.
It's a whole new group of people in here.
That's when they made it, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Anything else you want to share or talk about? This has been fun, man. I know you got things to do though.
I'll do this anytime you want. I've had a blast. No, thanks for giving me a few minutes, get away from the guys in there. But it's just great to see you, and I hope all your events work out. Please give me a call when you're looking for for an extra hand in coverage.
Yeah, no, I would love to have you back. We'll make it happen, and we're looking at new and different events. Obviously, with this thing, you got to adjust and everything. But one reason to starting this is just to connect people with you. So it's the times you came, right? We really didn't get a chance to even sit and talk because you know how it is. It's like
Yeah.
you see them, but it's like you don't get and like at the end we do a recap video for 5 minutes. Like, man, it's not really who we are. You know what I mean? That's not us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so but
I get it though.
yeah, you get it. You know how it works, right? So no, so where can they find you? Grow Wrestling, right? GRO
Yep.
Wrestling. Is that where they can find you?
GrowWrestling.org. We put mostly that's just where we keep information for our events. We're Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, mostly Facebook and Instagram, but we do a little tweeting here and there.
Yeah.
But we're growing. We're going to connect Kansas City and then the whole rest of the country
Nice.
before we go worldwide.
Nice. Keep growing, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it, man.
You're the man, Jared.